If you've ever fed a baby at 2 in the morning and thought, is this normal? Or did I accidentally sign up for a lifetime subscription? You're not alone. Hi, I'm Treasure, and I help exhausted working parents make baby sleep feel clear and doable without the guilt, the guesswork, or the internet yelling at you in all caps. Let's get one huge relief out of the way right now. Sleeping through the night is not some magical milestone every baby hits on a deadline, and it also does not mean your baby never stirs. It usually means they can connect sleep cycles and don't need you every time they pop into a light stage of sleep. So if your baby is still eating overnight, that can be completely normal. And also, yes, it can quietly become a sleep pattern that looks like hunger but acts like a habit. Let's start with what's actually driving this. In the newborn stage, frequent night feeds are normal and expected. Their tummies are tiny, their sleep is choppy, and their bodies are still organizing everything. If you have a very young baby, waking to eat multiple times overnight can be exactly what they need, and you have not created a bad habit. You have created survival. As babies get a little older, things start to split into two lanes. Some babies naturally begin to consolidate night sleep and drop feeds on their own. Other babies keep waking to eat because they still truly need those calories, or because the timing and routine around feeding has become the fastest way back to sleep. Here's the part nobody tells you clearly. A night feed can be both real and learned at the same time. Your baby can genuinely like eating at night, and your baby can also be using eating as their favorite sleep tool. There are a few common patterns that create this exact problem. One pattern is biology. Growth spurts, developmental leaps, and times of rapid change can temporarily increase night hunger. That does not mean you are back at square one. It means your baby is growing like a little weed with opinions. Another pattern is daytime intake. A lot of working parent babies end up snacking during the day, especially with daycare distractions, short bottles, or a baby who would rather smile at the ceiling fan than finish a full feed. Then nighttime becomes the time they make up calories because it is quiet, cozy, and you are basically a full-service room service cart. Another pattern is the feed to sleep connection. If the last thing your baby remembers before sleep is feeding, they often look for that same thing when they naturally wake between sleep cycles. Not because they are manipulative, because they are consistent. Now let's talk about night feeds by age in a way that does not make you spiral. In the first couple months, multiple feeds overnight are normal. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are parenting a brand new human with a brand new digestive system. As you move closer to 3 and 4 months, some babies still need 1 to 3 feeds overnight, especially if they are smaller, growing fast, or not taking full feeds during the day. Other babies start dropping down naturally. Both can be normal. Around 4 to 6 months, you often see more variation. Some babies are truly ready for fewer night feeds and will take more calories in a day if you help that happen. Other babies still need at least 1 feed overnight, especially if weight gain or milk intake has been a little tricky, or if reflux or discomfort has been in the mix. By about 6 to 9 months, many babies can physiologically go longer stretches without eating, and this is the window where night feeds most commonly shift from mostly hunger to often habit, especially if the feeds are tiny, very frequent, or happen like clockwork. And by 9 to 12 months, if a baby is waking multiple times to eat, I start looking harder at the pattern, not to shame you, to free you. Because a lot of parents in this stage are not doing night feeding, they are doing night whack-a-mole, and it is destroying everyone's sleep. After 12 months, if a toddler is still relying on overnight calories, it is much more likely to be comfort, habit, or a sleep association, unless there is a medical or growth concern your pediatrician is tracking. And yes, toddlers can be extremely committed to their favorite traditions, including the tradition of summoning you at midnight like you owe them rent. So how do you tell the difference between true hunger and a sleep pattern without playing detective at 1 in the morning with one eye open? Here's what I look for first. A hunger feed usually looks efficient. Your baby eats well, you can tell they were genuinely empty, and they go back to sleep calmly afterward. It also tends to shift over time as baby grows, either getting later, getting shorter, or slowly dropping. A habit feed usually looks snacky. It is small, quick, sometimes more about comfort than calories, and it happens at the same times like an alarm clock. And the biggest giveaway is that baby cannot settle without it, even when you know they ate well during the day. Here's another clue. If the wake up is instantly frantic and the only thing that works is feeding, that can be hunger, but it can also be a strong sleep association. If the wake up is more like, "Hi, I am awake, I would like my usual service," that is often pattern. Now let's talk about what helps starting tonight. The goal is not to rip away feeds and hope for the best. The goal is to stop accidental reinforcement, protect your baby's nutrition, and gently teach their body that night sleep is for sleeping. One of the smallest changes that makes the biggest difference is making daytime feeds count. If your baby is distracted, snacky, or rushing bottles at daycare, you want to tighten that up as much as real life allows. More full feeds in the day often equals fewer mystery hunger wake-ups at night. Another tiny but powerful shift is separating feeding from falling asleep, even just a little. If feeding is the grand finale of the bedtime routine, your baby is very likely to ask for an encore at every normal wake up. If you can, aim to feed earlier, then do a simple wind down step after, like pajamas, a short song, or a quick cuddle, so feeding is not the on switch for sleep. Now let's get specific about the moment you wake up overnight. If your baby is past the newborn stage and you are not sure whether the wake is hunger or habit, try a brief pause before you feed. Not a long dramatic pause, just a calm beat to see if they resettle, or if they truly escalate in a way that tells you this is real hunger. If they do not resettle, you can still feed. This is not about forcing anything. This is about stopping autopilot. If night feeds have become frequent and tiny, you can also start nudging the pattern without panic. That might look like making one feed slightly shorter, or putting a little more time between feeds, or having your partner try soothing for one of the wake-ups if you are breastfeeding and baby has learned mom equals milk equals instant sleep. If you're doing this alone, I want you to hear me. You are not supposed to be the only person on duty every single night. That is not a character test. That is just hard. In solo parent homes, we often choose the smallest change with the biggest payoff because you need sleep to function at work and stay emotionally steady. By the way, if you want all of this laid out step by step, download my free guide, The Modern Parent Sleep Roadmap, the guide I wish I had at 2 in the morning. The link is in the video description and on the screen. Now let me clear up a couple myths that keep parents stuck. Myth number 1 is that if your baby wakes at night, they must be hungry. Not always. Babies wake between sleep cycles the way adults do, and a baby who cannot connect cycles will look for help, even when calories are not the true issue. Myth number 2 is that if your baby is still eating overnight after a certain age, you must have ruined everything. No, you did what worked to survive, and now you are learning what works to thrive. Myth number 3 is the most toxic one. They should be sleeping through by now. That sentence has made more parents feel like failures than any other sleep myth on the internet. Your baby is not behind. Your baby is developing. We just want to make sure the pattern matches your baby's needs and your family's sanity. Now, I want to give you one simple way to decide what to do next without overthinking. If your baby is feeding once overnight, it is full and efficient, and they are sleeping well otherwise, you may not need to change anything right now. Sometimes one night feed is simply normal for your baby, and your job is not to win a contest. Your job is to get rest. But if you are doing multiple wake-ups, or you are feeding tiny amounts all night, or the wakes are happening like clockwork, that is when it often becomes a sleep pattern, and that is when strategic change usually makes a big difference. and here's when I'd stop guessing and get extra support. If you want a plan that protects feeding, supports attachment, and actually fits a working parent's schedule, I can help. I have a master's in social work, I'm a certified pediatric sleep consultant, and I'm the CEO of Rested and Renewed Pediatric Sleep Consulting. And yes, I'm also a toddler mom, so I fully respect that nobody has time for complicated. You can book a consultation through Rested and Renewed, and if you're not ready for that yet, start with my free sleep roadmap so you at least have a clear map in your hands. Now, quick safety note, because this matters. If your baby is not gaining weight well, has fewer wet diapers than usual, seems unusually lethargic, is vomiting repeatedly, has feeding that looks painful, or you have any concerns about breathing or choking, that is a pediatrician conversation, not a sleep training conversation. And if you have a baby with strong sensory needs who uses sucking to regulate, we can still improve sleep, but we do it thoughtfully with calming replacement so you are not taking away their best tool without offering another one. If this helped you feel less confused about whether night feeds are normal or a pattern, the next video is going to help you stop second guessing what to do in the moment so you can respond with calm instead of panic. Tap the screen to watch my next video.